And we are joined tonight by the governor of Texas right now, Greg Abbott, who has been an active supporter and campaigner for former President Trump. Governor Abbott, you were able to help deliver, along with your two senators, the state of Texas for Donald Trump. You endorsed him early on. What is it about the former president that you hope makes him hopefully propel him back to the White House?
Securing the border. Every American knows that we have a disaster on our hands in the Biden administration and the chaos they're causing in the United States because of the open border policies. You see another American killed every single day, it seems, because of Biden's open border policies. And I know President Trump is going to step up, and his premier top job is to secure the border.
We know that immigration has obviously been a key issue for voters, as we've seen in the exit polling in this primary so far. But access to abortion is likely to be another key issue come November in the general election. And along with Alabama now, Texas is the tip of the spear, at least for Democrats, on that issue. Do you worry that that could actually harm your candidate, former President Trump, if he is the Republican nominee come November?
So remember the statement that he put out after the Alabama Supreme Court ruling, where he said, listen, he supports IVF because he supports more babies being brought into the world. He supports the ability of couples to actually have more children and make it easier for them to have children, not make it harder. And his opinion is very popular across the entire country.
Governor Greg Abbott, we're going to interrupt you just for a second. We do have a key election alert from what I understand.
There it is here. NBC News can now project former President Trump in the state of Minnesota, winning there, beating Nikki Haley in a state where in the last competitive Republican primary, he trailed in a fairly distant third to, of course, Marco Rubio at the time. But you see it, 39 delegates at play. The former president picking up another state now on this Super Tuesday night, sweeping the first 11 with Vermont still outstanding, still too close to call. Governor, I got to get your reaction very briefly to that.
So listen, what we're seeing across the entire country is Republicans are unifying behind Donald Trump. They want to see him elected. And listen, let's be candid. We all know that Trump is going to win the nomination. Now is the time for Republicans and literally Americans to unite, because America cannot afford 4 more years of Joe Biden. All Americans understand that, and especially Republicans. It's now time for the entire party to unify behind who will be our nominee, Donald Trump.
So, Governor, an interesting fact here, you know, Nikki Haley spent some of the last days, and actually her last stop was in Texas before she went back to South Carolina. She actually outraised Donald Trump in your state in the month of January. How do you explain that?
Well, so obviously there were some people who wanted to write her checks, but we all know that money doesn't always win races. There's the power of what President Trump stands for, what he has done, what he will do. And that's exactly what the Republican Party and the majority of Americans, they want to see. And as you all have seen, President Trump is actually widening the people who support him in black communities, in Hispanic communities, in Asian communities, even among younger demographics. He's performing better because people see the opportunity that exists with Donald Trump returning to the presidency.
Governor, on that note, there are still Republicans in your state, in the state of Texas, who went out today and who cast a ballot for Nikki Haley. Not as many as who went out and cast a ballot for former President Trump, but they exist, and they exist in the state that you govern. When you look at some of the numbers here that we've seen in exit polling, there does seem to be, in some of these places, a potential enthusiasm gap among Republicans who identify themselves as MAGA Republicans, if you will. How do you plan to get some of those Haley voters back into the fold if, in fact, it is Donald Trump as the nominee come the convention?
Sure. So remember this, and that is when Donald Trump first won the presidency, even here in Texas, Texas was far more divided then than it is now, with Ted Cruz as a candidate. And remember that campaign went down to the convention, to the convention floor, and eventually the party united behind then President Trump. Same thing is going to happen this time, with the only difference being that Republicans have already rallied behind Donald Trump even further and faster than they did in 2016.
Governor, you know, the former president mentioned that you're on the list for running mates. If the former president asked you to be his running mate, would you accept?
So listen, he's very kind in suggesting things like that. One thing that I'm deeply committed to and that is governing the great state of Texas. I've already announced I'm running for re-election, and that truly is my focus.
Governor, you talk about wanting to, lead the state of Texas, lead the Republican Party where you are. You've endorsed 16 challengers to incumbent state representatives in your own party, right? So GOP versus GOP here. It's mostly over opposition to a school voucher bill. Do you worry that that is stoking divisions inside your party in your state?
Not really, and the early returns about the candidates that I supported, by and large, they're winning. And, we need to see the way that the count will continue for the rest of the night. However, that said, one thing is very clear, and that is we knew all along because of a ballot initiative 2 years ago that Republicans strongly support school choice by about 85 to 90%. And we got behind candidates who would deliver for Republican voters the issue they care about. And so this is merely supporting the voters as opposed to picking or choosing candidates. I was fighting for the voters in the Republican Party in the state of Texas.
Governor, very quickly before I let you go, and on this theme of the divisions inside the Republican Party, if Nikki Haley were to drop out maybe tomorrow, maybe this week, could you see welcoming her back into the MAGA fold?
So listen, I want all Republicans to unite behind Donald Trump because we all agree, for one, we need a far different pathway than the course that America's on right now. We literally have to save America from falling apart the way that it is. And the way to do that is to have as unified of a Republican Party as possible.
Okay, Governor Greg Abbott, I know you're tight on time. Thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast tonight here on NBC News Now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.